latest news update from Western Mass News.
Good Thursday afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Pisano with a look at your headlines. It has been an unprecedented month for much of New England as severe weather has devastated many communities across Western Mass. Fields Hill Road in Conway, just one of several roads damaged from last week's storms. The town administrator of Conway telling us crews have been working hard, rain or shine, to make repairs across town, including along Route 116. In its latest move to beat down inflation, the Federal Reserve hiked up its bank lending rate by a quarter point. And economic experts think another increase may happen soon. According to the Federal Reserve, the federal fund rate is falling now between 5.25% and 5.5%. This could potentially impact the interest rates you pay when you have credit card debt, make payments on your car, or even your mortgage, whether you're a first-time buyer or not. And LeBron James took to Twitter today and thanked well-wishers who've expressed support after his son Bronny's cardiac arrest earlier this week. It was James' first tweet about his son since it happened. LeBron wrote that the family is, quote, together, safe and healthy, and we feel your love. 18-year-old Bronny James, an incoming freshman for the University of Southern California men's basketball team, suffered a cardiac arrest during a practice Monday.
I'm meteorologist Jana Brown with a check of your forecast. Today, a first alert weather day as we continue to track showers and storms. Some storms have been severe already, and that threat continues through about 8 p.m. tonight. Storms may contain strong to damaging straight line wind gusts. Even some small hail or a tornado is possible, along with rain that could lead to flooding and flash flooding across the area. A flood watch is up for all of Western Mass through midnight. Storms will wrap up. I would say a lot of it comes to an end by 6, 7 o'clock. There might be another shower or thunderstorm still around by 9. But then after that, things are pretty much done. We'll get some partial clearing overnight, warm and very humid, temperatures only dropping to the low 70s. Then for Friday, another first alert weather day, but we're not expecting any rain or thunderstorms. We're actually expecting a lot of sunshine, so it's going to get hot. Temperatures hit low to mid 90s with lighter breezes out of the west. Very humid too. Dew points will be in the middle to upper 60s, so the heat index may very well approach triple digits. So a heat advisory is up again for tomorrow for the Pioneer Valley and southern Berkshire County. It's actually been extended into Saturday as well. Saturday also looking like a hot and humid day, but we're tracking a cold front. It's going to be coming down from the north and west with another round of showers and storms, leading to another severe weather threat and another threat for flooding and flash flooding. Once we get behind that front, though, it's a game changer. High pressure is going to build in with some dry and more comfortable air. It also gets cooler. Highs on Sunday around 80 with plenty of sunshine.
Stay with Western Mass News on air, online, and on our app throughout the day for breaking news, weather, and exclusive content.